Unit 6, Lesson 5. Which one doesn't belong? Remember, these ones are all up to you and what you think doesn't belong. You might say the first one doesn't belong because it is a positive slope. You might say this one doesn't belong because there's negative numbers. You might say this one doesn't belong because it has 100 on its graph. This one doesn't belong because there's no blue line. Remember, it is just what you believe doesn't belong and a reason of why. 5.2. Your teacher will give you a piece of pasta and a straight edge. Here is a scatterplot experiment with drawing lines that best fit. Pick a line you think best fits the data and compare it to a partner. So you are just going to use a ruler, no pasta. So if we're looking at the first one, let me get a ruler. Let's just, there we go. A ruler. So best fit. Remember, that's the line that goes through most of the points or near the points with the same amount of points on top and bottom, or close to the same amount of points on top and bottom. So, I don't know, maybe about there. It goes right through a couple, some on top, some on bottom. Next one is the same table, but maybe your partner did something a little different. Maybe your partner did this. So it's right below that one and goes through most of these, and more points are on top of the line. Here is a different scatter plot. Remember, they are both the same. They are just different than the top one. So again, you're just drawing a line that best fits. So if I were to, I don't know, maybe I think goes here. About. And maybe my partner said it went more like that. So that's a little bit of a steeper. It's closer to the 3 and goes to the corner, where this one is not as, as steep. So both lines are similar, but they're just a little bit different. .3. Good fit, bad fit. So here's a scatter plot. Both show the year and price for the same 17 used cars. Diagram A, diagram B. Look at diagram A. For how many cars does the model in diagram A make a good prediction for price? That means it's really close to the line. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those 5 are the closest. 5 cars. For how many cars does the model underestimate the price? So that means cars that are above the line. Because for how many cars does the model underestimate? Oh, so cars that are below the line, sorry. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the last one, for how many cars does it overestimate? 1, 2, 3, 4. Diagram B. How many is a good fit? Well, there's only one that's actually really close, so 1 car. Underestimate, so all these that are down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And over, 1, 2, 3. So most of our cars should be on the blue line, which would be model A, or diagram A. It had 5. This one only had 1. And then cars above and below should be pretty similar. I mean, it can be off by a little bit, so like this one. And it could be because maybe they say this one is a good fit, and maybe this one is a good fit. So that would put this at 6 cars. and this at 7 cars, they are a little bit closer, which then puts these two closer. So diagram A would be the best fit because it has the cars more evenly spread out between what's an under and what's an overestimate. So on the next page, there's a question. For how many cars does the prediction made by the Model A differ more than $3,000 and Model B? So between this line and here, it'd be more than 3,000. So it goes through there. 18 to 21 is 3,000. So that one doesn't. So 1, 2. It's going to be a whole square length away because that's counting up by 3,000s. 3. Maybe 4. So diagram A, right here I'm going to put A about 4. And then B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7. So B is about 7. Which model does a better job predicting the price of a used car from it this year? That was diagram A. Okay, so these lines were just determine if it's a good fit or not, and then drawing the line that might be a better fit. So number 1, we would say not a good fit. Because we should have about the same amount of points above the line and below the line. And we only have 3 that are above. All the rest are either on or below. Should have about, the same amount of points above and below. This is fitting line. So a line that might be a little bit better. We're going to want about the same amount on top and bottom. Maybe something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, sorry. Couldn't even see it. And that one's about 9. So we have 10 on top, 9 on bottom. So really close. This one, number 3, is this a good fit? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'd say it's a pretty good fit. We could tweak it just a little bit. I'm going to use a pink pen over the same one to just show the difference of what we could do, which really isn't that much. So this now, it goes through more points, or like touches 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whereas the first line only touched 3. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I say the blue line is a pretty good fit. It's not the best fit, but I'd say it's a pretty good fit. It's split pretty evenly between above and below the line. And then instead of drawing it on this one, I drew it next to this one. So we could see that difference between the line that's a little bit of a better fit and the line it gave us. That brings us to the Are You Ready for More? And our summary. So describe trends on a scatter plot is what we're doing. We're finding the line that best fits. But now we're also going to be talking about what kind of association is it. Well, this is a positive association. It goes When we're reading from left to right, it goes uphill in a positive way. Whereas this one, from left to right, it went downhill. So that means it would have a negative association, which we have kind of talked about in other classes. Then we have your homework. Practice problems 1 through 3, starting on page 557. Draw a line that you think is a good fit for this data. For the data, the inputs are horizontal and the outputs are vertical. So a line that's kind of a good fit. About there. Use your line to estimate what you would expect if the output value to be what you expect the output value to be when the input is 10. So 10 is our input. So about 30. Output would be about 30. Here's a scatter plot that shows the most popular videos in a 10-year span. Use the scatter plot to estimate the number of views for the most popular video in the 10-view span. Use the scatter plot to estimate the number of views for the most popular. So most popular would be the highest because it's how many views. That one is the highest. So about there. So this is 2.5. This would be half, which is 2.75. So I don't know, 2.8 billion views. About 2.8 billion views. Estimate the fourth most popular video. Okay, so popular means it has the most views. So 1, 2, 3. This would be our fourth one right here. When it came out. I'm going to follow it down. About January 1st. And maybe it's... These are all first. So December 30th, 2014. 12, 30, 20, 14. Because it's not on the line. It's right next to that line. But it might be one off. 1 day off. So this is a review from my guess is Unit 5, Lesson 8. A recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of yeast for every 2 cups of flour. Name 2 quantities in this situation that are in a functional relationship. Yeast and flour. Write an equation that represents the linear function. So y equals, so if our yeast is 1, our flour is 2. So our yeast equals our flour divided by 2. But this is in cups and this is in teaspoons. So we need to figure out how many teaspoons there are. So flour divided by, let me figure out how many teaspoons are in 2 cups. So there are 96 teaspoons in 2 cups. So we would have amount of flour divided by 96. Draw a graph with at least 2 points with inputs and outputs. So Y is our yeast, so that's over here. This is flour. And it's in cups, and this is in teaspoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 1 teaspoon, we have 2 cups. For 2 teaspoons, we have 4 cups. So we would have, goes right through 0, 0. And our line, sorry. There it is. And that is your video for lesson 5.